I had just gone to the dietitian and been diagnosed with an eating disorder and basically started my recovery journey. So being told that I had an eating disorder was a mix of emotions. It was extremely confronting and scary and terrifying, but also it was kind of exciting to be told that I had to eat, because I'd reached a point where all I was thinking about was food and exercise and how much food and when I was going to eat again, and should I eat like if I haven't exercised, and you know how much food I ate depended on how much I'd exercised. And so being kind of told that you had to eat and you had to gain weight, like it was kind of like, oh, like what a relief. I don't have to be so disciplined anymore. At the same time it was terrifying because I didn't want to gain any weight. Like that was such a huge deal, and it took me I guess a month really to properly commit to the idea of gaining weight. I kind of just stayed in my old habits and didn't really do much for the first little while, and then when I had to get weighed, they kind of threatened to put me on supplements. If that didn't work, they wanted to take me to hospital, but I refused. I was terrified of any food that was like unhealthy or not clean, so I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. And so I was like, okay. And so after that I did slowly kind of gain back weight, and it took me about I think 6 months to reach a healthy weight and had that stabilize. So those 6 months were during when I was in year 10, so I was 16 or 15, and that period I literally cannot remember. Like I can remember moments here and there, but it's literally just like a blackout period of my life. I think I was just so unwell, and my body was really not healthy. Like it was slowly shutting down. Like I'd started to turn yellow, my like bladder wasn't working properly, I had no energy, no life. I was literally just a body. And so for that time I was just numb basically, and watched Grey's Anatomy to distract me, because what happens for most people is when they start recovery you have a lot of guilt and anxiety, and so I had to watch a TV show after every time I ate to kind of distract me for that period, because you eat and then it'll be kind of this increase in anxiety and it will slowly subside. But if I didn't have anything, like it was just too overwhelming to deal with. So that was like my strategy for dealing with it. So I got really into TV shows. That was just a really dark time, to be honest. It was tough, and every day you have to choose to recover and you have to choose to want to get better, and some days it's really hard and some days you just can't, and have the idea in your mind that there's more to life than just how you look and this, because it's not living what I was doing. You just have to hold on, and at points I had to recover or choose to recover for someone else. So a lot of the time it was for my mum, because I didn't feel worthy of recovery for myself, so I had to externalize that and think, okay, I can't justify getting better for myself, but I don't want her to suffer, so I'm going to get better for her. I'm going to keep trying for her. And that was really helpful when I really struggled. So those months were just blank. I was barely at school. In year 10 I did 3 subjects all year, and I was at school for like 1 to 2 periods a day really for most of the year. I was terrified of staying for recess or lunch, because that was just a massive confronting thing, having to eat in front of people. Like that was something that took me a long time to be able to do, and I was just ashamed. And I was also just, I felt like I didn't know anyone. Like I was this completely different person. I'd lost everything I was, and I was just in this really weird space where I just was this blank canvas, and I had no personality and no life. And yeah, it was just a really big deal for me to when I started staying for a recess every now and then and started staying for a lunch, that was like a massive deal. But the more that I did that and the more that I felt connected and I kind of started integrating myself back into school life and into a friendship group at least, the more that I wanted to recover, because I wanted to experience these things. I wanted to just be a normal kid and just be a teenager and have friends and just be at school, because I hated missing out, and to this day I still get so upset that I missed out on so much of school, so much of forming friendships and just all like the normal things that you experience when you're a teenager. I kind of missed out on, and yeah, it still upsets me. So year 10 was kind of like a write-off year. It was just a year dedicated to me recovering and growing and gaining back life slowly. So once I started gaining back weight, I also gained back some energy and some life, and I started smiling again. I literally didn't smile for a year. I remember thinking, how do I smile? I literally, it felt foreign on my face. I just didn't know what to do. I was like I had no idea. Like, it felt so strange. So I learned how to smile again, and you know, I started being a bit more lighthearted and enjoying life, and I started doing volleyball again. And so all that year was just a gradual kind of slow return to life, and the more that I got better and the more that I felt a bit better in myself, the more that I realised what I was missing out on, and the more that made me want to recover. So if you are in recovery right now, you'll have this period where it's just like, you just have to gain the weight first. That's the most important thing, because your body is literally dying. When you are starving yourself and you're underweight, it's just slowly shutting down, and you're either going to keep going that way and you're eventually just, your heart's going to fail, or you can recover. And so the period when you start recovery, you just have to gain weight and just kind of distract yourself. Literally just, you just need to not think about it, because otherwise you'll talk yourself out of it. And then once you've gotten past that really difficult period and you can start going and doing things again, you start getting reasons to recover. You start hanging out with friends, and you start having energy to do things you love, and finding that you do like things. You don't just feel numb, like you actually can enjoy life, and that's more and more reason to recover. So it gains momentum the more that you progress, so you just have to stick with it. Year 11 was much better. In year 10 I was doing the bare minimum just to pass, but year 11 I did part-time, so I did a bit more, and that was really exciting for me. And I was still really struggling with my body, and I was still maintaining quite a low weight. Like, I was healthy, but it was quite a low range of the healthy end. I was still very conscious of food and eating, and I still kind of had lots of guilt associated with it, and I still had an unhealthy relationship with food and exercise, but I was better than I was, and I was happier than I was. So in early year 11 I decided to go vegetarian, because this whole journey I'd kind of become aware of food and you know, done a lot of reading on like natural food and just learnt a lot about it in general. I kind of came to the realization that I was eating animals, and I was not okay with that. Once I kind of understood that, I was like, I can't do that. Like, that's not okay. I became vegetarian, and that was really good. And then I went to do this course called the lightning process, and this was something that changed my life. So while I had gaining weight and becoming healthy, I had definitely gained back energy and gained back life, and felt much better than I did. I still wasn't great, and I think that was chronic fatigue. So I went and did this course called the lightning process. Basically, you learn about the brain, you learn about the language we use, the pathways that our brain goes down, how much choice we have in our life, a whole range of things, neuroplasticity. And from there I learnt how to basically take control of my life and my health, and I left there feeling so much better. Just even in 3 days I felt better, and I had the tools to use to make my life what I wanted it to be. So we went to New Zealand, and that was a really big milestone in my recovery because I was so much freer than the last time. Like when I'd been there a year and a half earlier, it was one of the lowest points in my life. Whereas this time I had energy, I was smiling, I could spend time with my family and talk to them and connect with them. I ate whatever food, I was really quite relaxed with food, and didn't even stress that much about it. I was just really happy to be there, and yeah, it was an awesome trip, and I used all the tools in the lightning process, and I was able to go out and do activities and just live life. So that was an awesome time. And when I came back from that, I went back to school, and I went back to full-time school. Just like that, I'd gone from part-time and I just knew I could do it, and so I went back to full-time school, and that was amazing, and I was so proud of myself and so happy to just be starting to get normal again. And yeah, I started just getting more and more connected with the year level and with friends, and started doing well in school. Like all my confidence I'd been stripped of when I first went back to school. It was so hard and so scary, and I used to be such a confident person and so outgoing, and then I felt the complete opposite, and I'm still to this point like much more introverted than I used to be, definitely, but I slowly learnt to be more confident and to put myself out there a bit more, and that was you know, a long process, and it was hard work, but yeah, I just had to relearn who I was really and get to know myself and build back my personality really. And then in year 12 I started gaining more weight. My restriction habits had kind of come back and made themselves into a specific, I kept on trying to, I guess, restrict in certain ways, and I was still really obsessed with healthy food. And so because of this, I would start overeating because I was forbidding myself from eating certain foods. I was not letting myself eat whatever I was craving. And so throughout year 12, you know, it is a bit more of a stressful year, although I did really well to keep a balance. Made sure that I took care of my mental health as my first priority because I knew how important that was to me. And my body was changing, and that was really hard to deal with. And because of, you know, less sleep and stuff, I did start feeling a bit more flat, but I also, you know, had some really good highs at work, and I ended up doing really quite well in my VCE ATAR and exams. So that was really awesome, and it was such a good surprise to get the ATAR that I did, having, you know, everything that I'd gone through and missing so much school. That was a real highlight. But anyway, so year 12 was kind of a bit of a roller coaster, which I mean, I'm sure it is for most people when they're 18, but yeah, it was just, I guess different things came up throughout that. There was a point in the middle of the year where I was sick for a long time, and I think after doing the lightning process for all of year 11, I used it, and it was awesome and it worked so well. But the thing is, when you stop implementing it in your life, then the changes start to go away. And so kind of year 12, it was kind of like a very slow downward slope from where I was, because while I was trying to keep a balanced life, I stopped doing the things that I needed to do, and so things just got harder and harder, and my health still wasn't optimal, but there was still lots of other things in my life that weren't there before, so that was really good. And all of last year was kind of dedicated to my own self-growth, and after everything I've been through, there's still so much I had to sort out. And so last year I also, you know, became looser with my exercise, which I think was a really important thing that I needed to do because I had such an unhealthy relationship with it. But I also was still struggling with eating and restricting myself and then overeating, and so I did gain quite a bit of weight last year, which was and still is a real struggle. Like, I'm still kind of dealing with that now. It was just part of my journey. You know, often if you're at one end of a pendulum, you kind of have to swing the other way in the extreme before you can come back to the middle. So I think this year that's what's happening for me. Like, I'm coming back to the middle and just finding my happy ground, my happy weight, my happy mindset. And I definitely do think I'm in the best place I've ever been. But last year was honestly not a great year. I wasn't in the best place, and there was just a lot of self-growth happening, a lot of challenging times, and I really had to dig deep and keep going and really work on my self-love, on taking care of myself mentally, and, you know, trying to let go of all the obsessions and restrictions I had with exercise and food and just be free. And also start implementing meditation and implementing gratitude again, and just kind of looking outside to life and not getting so caught up in myself. And so that was last year. And then this year I got a new job, and that was really good, and I was able to start helping people, also listening to my body. So when I don't feel like it, I don't do it. And I'm at a place now where if I make that decision and I wake up and I'm not feeling it, and you know, some weeks I might like work out like 5 times a week, sometimes it might just be 3, 6, whatever it is, I'm totally okay with it. And like today, like I haven't done anything, and that's fine. Like I'm not stressing, whereas even a few months ago I would have been beating myself up and feeling so anxious and stressed and guilty. So I've come a long way just in the last few months. I've been really working on my happiness and challenging that, and really choosing how I feel in each moment, enjoying life and figuring out the things that I love and that make me feel good, and then doing more of those. I would say I'm like 95% recovered. Like I still do have bad days every now and again where food or exercise or both are just really hard, are really confusing. There's a lot of guilt going on, and bad body image days. I do have those. I used to have so many, but I'm really working on just self-love and loving myself no matter what, because I can tell you guys, like, there's so much focus on looking a certain way, and like if you lose this much weight or you look like this, you will be happy. But I promise you that is a lie. Like no matter what you look like, you will not be happy unless you choose to love yourself and just love the skin you're in, and you just choose to be happy no matter what. Because I can tell you, like, when I was like the skinniest I've ever been, I was the most depressed I've ever been, and I just hated life, and that was all what there was to my life. Like all I cared about was how I looked, and that's just no way to live. And you don't want to live your life like that and then reach the end and you've done nothing. Like you haven't loved, you haven't lived, you haven't explored or adventured. Like you've just been about your body. Like I think it's really important to remember the big picture and what you want out of life and what you want to remember when you are lying in bed at the end. I have worked really hard and I'm still working, but I'm, you know, in a really good place. And I just want you to know, whatever you're going through, getting better and getting through it, it is possible and it can happen. I know it can be such hard work, but it is so worth it. And I think it's also important to remember that these things make you who you are and make you special, and they allow you to empathize with others that have gone through similar things or just having hard times. You know what it's like to have hard times. And I know for me personally, like, I know that I was meant to go on this journey because now my biggest passion in life is helping others and just preventing these things from happening to people. And I have such a deep understanding of it and such empathy to other people and just such a fire in me to kind of change society and the things that we value, and moving it away from body to just self and personality and just being a good person and making the world a better place. So I guess what I want you to take away from this is that, one, you are not alone, and I hope that if you ever need a friend, I'm here. You're always welcome to message me. 2, that things will get better. It is possible. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, even though I know sometimes it can seem like the tunnel just keeps going on and there's no way out. Like there is, I promise you. I have felt so low and so many times just not wanted to exist, but I got through and I'm seeing light, and you will too, I promise you. And just 3, just remember, please, this most important takeaway, please just focus on living a good life and doing the things that you love, and just don't stress about food and exercise. Like, yes, they're important, and I think it is important to eat a healthy diet and exercise regularly, but It is unhealthy to exercise and eat so healthy that you're feeling restricted and you stress about it and you don't let yourself have that cake, or you don't let yourself have a rest when you're sick. Like, that is not healthy, and so it's actually more healthy for you to just stop and actually do the opposite of whatever you're stopping yourself from doing. But I feel like that is something I can just talk about on and on, so I will stop before this goes on too long. I will be making more videos about this kind of stuff. Please let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about, and I'm always happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions or just want any support, I am here for you. But yes, I will stop now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it all the way, now you know a bit about me and what I've been through. Of course there's a lot more to it, but that's kind of the general overview. I hope you have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and that you can love yourself and just be happy. I hope that you are kind to yourself with whatever you're going through right now, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Thank you again for watching, and yeah.